Welcome to the Bayonet's coverage of election 2016. I'm Dick Myers, and with me during this segment is Justin Fiore, who's a candidate for the St. Mary's County Board of Education. You're with District 2, is that correct?
That is correct.
That's the Lexington Park areas?
Leonardtown, Hollywood.
Leonardtown, Hollywood, okay, very good. Someone has asked me, I'm going to ask you about your background, but let's start with District 2. Someone has asked me, is it the responsibility of the school board member in their particular district to watch out for things that happen in their district, or are you more county-wide oriented?
I understand it to be a county-wide responsibility. It's just they'd like to have representation within each district so schools aren't being forgotten.
And those districts are the same as the commissioner districts?
I believe they are.
Yes.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us a little bit of a verbal resume, if you will.
Verbal resume. Okay, so I'm actually in my second career, if you will. I was an automotive technician out of high school, Chaptacon, career A, James Career Forest Technology Center. And eventually I decided I wanted to go back. I saw the industry that I was in, especially automotive repair, being up in the wind with cars that would not get in accidents avoidance technology, cars that drive themselves. These were all job security issues for me moving forward. And I thought I could use my brain a little bit. I wasn't a dumb guy in school, and I just chose not to go that route initially. So I decided I'd go back. I took some colleges at College of Southern Maryland on Saturday, 6-hour classes, before making the full jump back in, and graduated with my degree, double major in public policy and political science here at St. Mary's College of Maryland.
So I first met you in the political arena, so you've gotten interested in politics sort of initially down here.
Yeah, local politics in particular. Actually, when I was coming out of my 2-year degree and into my 4-year, I thought I wanted to do international politics. But I fell in love, and with the direction of Professor Todd Eberly, I started to get more involved in the local end. And my family, my friends are all here. I decided, what better place to make a difference than home. So I got involved as quickly as I could and to do as much good as I thought I could.
So what have you been involved with since you've graduated that you feel transfers to good experience for the school board?
So a lot of group meetings and a lot of different organizations. One in particular, we're working with a number of different organizations as a community to put together the Youth Community Center initiative in Lexington Park. So what we want to do is we want to provide a place for kids when they're not in school to have a safe environment that they can do recreational activities, that they can get health and family services, and we want it to be a community atmosphere. So we have that buy-in, we have that positive impact on the area. And in that I co-chair it with Mia Bowers. She's excellent, and together we do a good job setting up planning, bringing people in and trying to take an idea and move it forward. And I think the board is very similar, and that's the process. You need to work with folks, you need to find ideas, common grounds, and then solutions to make it happen. In addition to that, my time in Annapolis, during the legislative session, I worked for President Miller, and I was the committee analyst for budget and taxation. While there, I got to analyze a $16 billion budget for him. To sit in the room with a bunch of different senators who have a similar job budget-wise to the county Board of Education, and that we don't draw up the budget, but we have to approve it, which means we have to fully vet the budget and make sure that what we do receive from the superintendent is good for our schools, good for our families, good for the county.
So the school board budget has been an issue because a couple of years ago they had a $6 million deficit. This year they have a $2.5 million surplus, which begs the question, are they budgeting correctly?
I understand it's a difficult time for the budget, and that because of the rising healthcare costs we've seen, and a couple of other minor issues. But yeah, it's not easy to budget $200 million and nail it right on the head. So it's a challenge. I expect every year for it to be a challenge. I think we want to make sure we have minimal variance, and I'd much rather have 2 million over than 4 million under.
So how would you approach the budget? Are you trying to save money in looking at the budget, or are you trying to find ways to expand programs?
Honestly, one of the things I've been running on from the get-go is making sure we have a full paraeducator staff in our classroom. Last year it was a contentious item on the budget for the superintendent and the board going into the talks with the commissioners. Superintendent Scott Smith called it instructionally imperative that we have these folks in the classroom. I agree with them on that. I want to make sure that we get them in there, but it is going to take an investment on behalf of the county commissioners. So where we need to, I think we might have to grow the budget some, but it doesn't necessarily have to be on our commissioners, on our county. The state is looking at redoing the Thornton formula, the education formula on their end, and it could work out in our favor.
Your girlfriend's a paraeducator.
My girlfriend is an instructional resource teacher.
Okay, and the IRTs were cut back. So what do they, explain to our audience why they're important in the classroom.
So IRTs versus paras, a little bit of a misunderstanding there. An IRT is an instructional resource teacher. What they generally do is push into classrooms, work with teachers on lesson plans, lesson development, modeling new techniques, stuff that they'll find in professional developments. And they're really critical helping us with the transfer over in curriculum right now. Paraeducators and the ones that are really important that we've seen cut back are the ones that are actually in our earliest grades. They're in our kindergarten classes, our first grade classes in particular. A lot of them work with special needs students. And what they do is they give a hands-on help to the teacher in instruction as well as classroom management. And like the superintendent said, they're much needed.
Your opponent is almost 50 years older than you, or about.
Yeah,
I don't know the exact amount.
50.
So how would you weigh youth versus experience? There's no way you could have had all the experiences he's had, but how do you log in on youth, and how does that fit into what the voters might be looking for?
Well, one thing you can point to is that I've graduated from our school system more recently. I've been in our schools and graduated from Chopticon, and it's not much different now than it was then. Common Core is still new to me in that sense that I wasn't there for it, but a lot of our kids are at the tail end of that right now. So that's new to everybody, and I think you'll find the same thing with the Board of Education. It's going to be new to everybody who's going on to it. Our delegates recently, our new delegates and our new senator that went to Annapolis, they had good backgrounds. They've done a lot of hard work and have life experience, but they will tell you as quickly as anyone else that the first year they got there, it was an eye-opener. You are never ready for it and fully ready for it and understand what you're doing until you jump in, which is why it's been so nice to have some stable figures on the Board of Education and folks to learn from throughout this process, because they build that institutional knowledge that neither Jim or I have, to be honest.
So are you going to be able to devote full-time? It can be a full-time, almost a full-time job sometimes, it seems, to people that are in it.
Yeah, no, it's, I won't have as much time as Jim Davis if we were to break it down. Simply there is he's retired and can treat it as a full-time position. I work in Annapolis. I'm part-time out of session, so like right now I'm there 3 days a week. During session I'll be there 5 days a week, and I've worked with my employer, who's actually a former Board of Education member in his county, to make sure that I can be here for the meetings and any other time that's necessary for me to be off even while session is in. But it is a tighter construct of my time.
I've been around a while. I've seen elections, and I've seen outsiders criticize what's going on, and then once they get elected, seem to embrace what's going on. So how would you assess how the school board operates, and how would you assess the school system as it currently is?
I think we have a great school system. I don't think there's any coincidence that our numbers in the state look good, that our state numbers in the country look good. We have fantastic teachers first and foremost. And with that, we do enough on the board. We do enough with our budget to maintain it. I'm not here as a change candidate, to be honest. Like I said, I want to see certain priorities funded a little bit better, including our staff. But I'm not a revolutionary candidate in that sense.
Would you work towards a better pay plan for the teachers and the support staff?
I want to make sure that we're honoring the contracts we have first. It's something I stood up for 2 years ago when I wasn't running. I had no intentions of running. I thought it was important that we honor that as a county. And when we weren't giving our teachers the pay steps promised to them when they signed their contract, that really upset me, and that's not something I want to see. So if we keep that up and we work on getting those teachers back some of the money that they've lost, because yeah, they've gotten some steps since, but that doesn't make up for the years they've missed them. So I think we can do a lot to invest in our people without saying that we need to go beyond the step plan right now.
You mentioned Common Core earlier. The PARCC tests are now the thing. And there have been concerns raised about it, about how they're administered, because it's mostly online type of a test, and also how the results are being used as a measure of graduation.
Yeah, the PARCC testing is very problematic. The one thing I keep running into with that is that it's taking up too many classroom resources, it's taking up too much time, it's disrupting the school schedule, and that we're putting more into measuring a quality education than actually delivering one. It is my understanding the state is well aware of this, and they've done studies on it, and they're looking at reducing the amount of testing time within a school year. I fully support that. I want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to get classroom instruction time, because ultimately what we're trying to measure with these tests is whether the kids are learning, whether they're getting the knowledge they need, and if testing is getting in the way of that, it's almost self-defeating.
So is there a danger of teaching to the test instead of teaching to the curriculum?
I would like to believe that Common Core steers away from that, and that we have standards that need to be taught. And so those standards will be tested on, but I haven't heard anything that would suggest some standards aren't being addressed in favor of others. So I don't know if that's going to be as big an issue with this current curriculum, but it's certainly something to watch out for. I know it's existed. I'm not in favor of having teacher evaluation based on those tests, because I think then you start to enter dangerous territory.
How do you evaluate teachers then?
I think the way our school system's done so far is just fine.
So what have they done? I know that they are, there is oversight, but it's not oversight from a testing standpoint. Are you in favor of continued oversight? It's more in, I think, a mentoring situation.
Yeah, there's mentoring that takes place, and there's administrative oversight. So when they see teachers struggling, that's part of what you mentioned. My girlfriend's an IRT does. She pushes into those classrooms more.
Right.
And when teachers are in their first 2 years, they have to have a mentor, which is really good. So I think the internal dynamics of the school system do well for themselves, and I would say that our system and our scores, the product that we see leaving the schools, validates the system we have currently.
Do you have an opinion about how open and transparent the school board has been?
No. I think they've been somewhat open. Their meetings are very poorly attended from what I've seen. Maybe that leads to some confusion about it. But I haven't witnessed anything that concerned me.
Okay. I guess this would be something that the legislature that you work for would have to do, but what is your opinion about term limits for school board members?
We can have them, we don't have to have them. To me, it's not a great concern. Like I said, it's nice to have some institutional knowledge within, have folks be there for 8, 12 years. But if that's what the folks in the county want, then I support it.
Okay, and do you have an opinion? Do you support somebody who's running for the other contested school board position?
No, I'm going to stay out of it. I don't want to bring my politics into another race. I don't want other people bringing their politics into my race. Please go with me on my merit. I ask for your vote for that. I'm not going to tell you to do anything else with your vote.
So it takes time, it takes money to run an election for any position. So is there anything that our audience can do to help you out in terms of financial and also just working for you and working at the polls? Do you need help, I guess as well?
Yeah, yes. I could always use help. I have some very good friends, but I'm always looking for more. I can be reached via the phone number, which I have no problem putting out there for the world, 301-904-3974. You can call me, text me anytime if I don't get to you right away. It could be that I'm in a meeting, but I will certainly get back to you. I also have a Facebook page, which you can find by searching Justin Fiore for Board of Education.
Spell Fiore for us.
Fiore. Another way you can find it is go to the Facebook page, / and then BOE, Board of Education, the number 4, Justin. Or actually the other way around, I'm sorry about that. It's Justin 4, BOE.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate you being here, and thank you for joining us once again for the Bay Net's coverage of election 2016.